Imagine this. You're crouched in a muddy trench, bombs booming, planes roaring, and your stomach growling. Suddenly, a tin can lands in your hands. You crack it open. Inside, a pink, salty brick of meat. Spam. Not pretty, not fancy, but in that moment, it's survival. Yes, Spam. That canned pork you barely notice at the grocery store once fed millions of soldiers in World War II. So how did Spam, the canned meat, become World War II's unexpected hero and outlast the war itself? Let's dig right into it, right here on History of Food. Before we land on the beaches of Normandy, we've got to rewind to 1937 in Austin, Minnesota. The Hormel Food Company was trying to solve a problem: how to sell all those extra pork shoulders Americans didn't really want to buy. Their solution? Grind it up, mix it with some salt, sugar, potato starch, and a secret preservative, shove it in a can, and voila! Mystery meat that doesn't need refrigeration. It was cheap, it was filling, and it could survive a nuclear winter. Hormel gave it a snappy name, Spam, and launched it just 2 years before the start of World War II. At first, Americans were skeptical. Housewives didn't exactly cheer at the thought of feeding their families pink gelatinous cubes that looked like they were sculpted by Picasso during his meat phase. But Spam's moment was coming. And when war broke out, that moment arrived in all its salty glory. Here's the thing about war. Logistics matter as much as bullets. Armies don't march on empty stomachs. You need food that's cheap, easy to ship, and won't spoil in the jungles of the Pacific or the frozen forests of Eastern Europe. Enter Spam. Spam was like the Beyoncé of canned foods. It had the range. Drop it in boiling water, it's dinner, slice and fry it, breakfast, eat it straight from the can while dodging mortar fire. Sure, why not? By the time American soldiers shipped out, Spam came with them in massive quantities. Between 1941 and 1945, the U.S. military purchased over 150 million pounds of Spam. To put that in perspective, that's enough to build an entire wall made out of canned meat, stretching from London to Berlin. Now, let's be real. Not every soldier was thrilled about Spam. Imagine eating the same pink brick 3 meals a day for weeks on end. Breakfast, Spam and eggs. Lunch, Spam sandwich. Dinner, Spam stew. One soldier even swore he'd never touch it again once the war was over, only to find his wife had bought 6 cans for the pantry. Surprise, honey. But here's the twist. As much as they complained, soldiers still ate it, and it kept them alive. Spam didn't just feed U.S. soldiers, it fed America's allies too. By 1941, Britain was starving under German blockades, with fresh meat rationed and cupboards bare. Then came Spam. Millions of cans crossed the Atlantic, becoming many Brits' first taste of American food. Not glamorous, but when you're hungry, even pink cubes feel like a feast. In fact, Spam became so common in Britain that it slipped into everyday cooking. Fried for breakfast, tossed into stews, or tucked between bread as a Spam sandwich. For a generation growing up in wartime, it was comfort food born out of necessity, a symbol of resilience wrapped in tin. Even Winston Churchill himself later admitted that without Spam, the Allies might not have had the strength to keep fighting. But Spam wasn't just about calories. It became a strange form of diplomacy. Sharing cans of Spam with allies built goodwill in the darkest days of the war. For many civilians and soldiers alike, that tin of meat was more than food. It was a reminder that they weren't forgotten, that help was still coming across oceans and battle lines. When the war finally ended in 1945, Spam didn't just disappear. Soldiers brought back stories and sometimes recipes from overseas. Countries where Spam had been introduced kept eating it long after. In Hawaii, where GIs were stationed, Spam became a staple. Today, Hawaiians eat more Spam per person than anywhere else in the world. You'll find it in Spam musubi, basically Spam sushi, Spam fried rice, even Spam loco moco. It's like bacon's quirky cousin that never left the luau. In South Korea, Spam is practically luxury. It became popular during the Korean War when American rations flooded the peninsula. Nowadays, you can buy fancy gift boxes of Spam during holidays, beautifully wrapped, like you're gifting a bottle of wine, except it's pink meat in a can. Even in the Philippines, Japan, and Guam, Spam worked its way into local cuisines, becoming comfort food. What started as a wartime necessity turned into cultural identity. We can't forget Monty Python's 1970s Spam sketch, where a diner full of people chanted "Spam, Spam, Spam" until it took over everything.
Bacon and spam! Egg, bacon, sausage and spam! Spam, bacon, sausage and spam! Spam, egg, spam, spam, bacon and spam!
That's how iconic it was. Spam became comedy, a punchline, a cultural phenomenon. The term spam for junk email even came from that sketch. Cheap, everywhere, and impossible to escape. So yes, every time you delete a shady email, you're honoring World War II canned pork. So how did Spam outlast the war? It wasn't just food. It was survival, diplomacy, culture, and brilliant marketing. Hormel leaned into the jokes, running ads with soldiers praising Spam, families cooking with it, even Spam and lima beans. Its reputation as the food that fed the free world gave it staying power, turning a wartime filler into a post-war tradition. And here's the kicker. Spam leaned into its own weirdness. Instead of running from the jokes, Hormel doubled down, celebrating Spam as both practical and proudly quirky. That self-awareness kept it relevant long after ration books disappeared, turning it into a global icon rather than a forgotten relic of war. Spam may never get the respect of steak or lobster, but it outlasted World War II, it outlasted rationing, and it's still here today, holding strong on grocery shelves and breakfast tables worldwide. And that, my friends, is how canned meat became the unexpected hero of the 20th century. So crack open a can, fry up a slice, and raise a fork to Spam, the little pink soldier that fed the world. So next time you see a can of Spam at the store, don't just roll your eyes and walk past it. That little pink block of meat once fed millions of soldiers, helped win the war, and even shaped cuisines around the world. Sure, it may not look glamorous. Sure, it jiggles in ways that meat probably shouldn't. But behind that tin can is a history of resilience, survival, and, dare I say, heroism. Thank you for watching.